Hello everyone, this is s1e3, impresario of Balletistan. Welcome to our third episode of Balletistan Wednesday Talk. Today we are going to host Ballet Master of Cincinnati Ballet, Ogulcan Borova. It's our greatest pleasure to welcome you in our program.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I love a couple of your programs that I watch. It's a great thing to do. It's new for you too, I know. It's like I really appreciate that you're having me.
Exactly. I mean, it's a new experience. So I am not a media personality, but I am a big fan of ballet, and it's a great privilege to interview a ballet artist like you. Thank you so much for
Thank you. That's very
being
kind. Appreciate it. Thank you.
here. So today, we will talk about your artistic journey, starting from Izmir, Turkey, to Cincinnati, United States, and it's going to continue to Finland. And I think we will talk about it maybe towards the end of the interview. So let's start from the beginning. So you are coming from an artistic family. Can you tell us how and when did you start dancing?
Well, probably I start dancing as long as I remember it, just probably with any other dancer, really. I was just in love with first those Freddie Astaire and then I moved into Michael Jackson, and then one thing followed another because of my dad is an opera singer. They were already using me in some operas as a kid, and then I start taking ballet classes when they saw that I can move a little bit. That's how I started in the Ankara, where I was born actually originally, with the courses of the opera, state opera over there. And just follow with, getting into conservatory and all that.
So you went to Izmir for a state conservatory.
Yes, we have moved to Izmir. So I started in Izmir in 1991, I believe, in conservatory. Back in the day it was different. So many kids were trying to get into those schools, and it looked like you would start at college, and they would give us this college ID back in Turkey. And we were 11 years old, and starting the school, we had 5 men and 5 ladies in the class. And so that would have gone for 9 years together. So that was only my class. That was 10 people there. So, and it's just, it was a rough school. If they kick you out into it, 3 years into it, you have to go back to regular schools and start. It was definitely different, especially in Turkey, going to school at that age, not wearing uniforms. And it was always a challenge using the public transportation and trying to convince the bus driver, no, I really go to college. That's my ID. I know I'm 11, but this is conservatory. So it's just, every day it was just, you felt like this is something different than everybody else. But yeah, I started Izmir, and I had some great teachers first couple of years. Maybe not such a great method to follow, but then eventually I had a teacher, Russian teacher, that arrived, and his name was Shavkat Tursunov. That he helped me open my vision a lot. And he, not only me, he held the hands of a lot of my classmates, and he made us get out of our shell, get out of the country, and just explore, just for our vision to get a little bit bigger.
So we have a picture of him here.
Yeah, that's right
with you and your classmates
in the middle of us. Yeah, that's my classmates, some of them at least. Yeah, there are some of the pictures from the schools. Oh yeah, that's funny. Everyone is grown up now. Nobody looks like that anymore. But yeah, these are all from the school. They're all very talented dancers. Most of them are in Turkey. One came to the States after I came. We danced for years together, actually. He's back in Turkey as well. Yeah, this is Sarah Lamb from Royal Ballet Theater. This is, again, with my teacher from Shavkat Tursunov from Dokuzail University. That's where it was taking in Japan, where I actually This is a Japan competition, international competition. That was like my third international competition that I did, where I received a contract in United States as a professional dancer.
That was indeed like my next question. So you participated in Japan international competition,
Yeah.
Varna, right?
Yeah, so there was some competitions going on in Turkey back in the day when I was going to school. This Rotary clubs took over, and they were doing a national competition in Turkey. I attended that. Like the school actually was choosing who needs to compete. I wasn't chosen, but I attended the competition anyway, and I got the second prize in my region. Following year, the school chose me to participate, and I won my region, and I went to Ankara to compete national level. So I won the first prize there as well, which opened up my future a little bit, actually tremendously, because I got like a sponsorship after that competition, and they sending me to international competition. So that's the first competition international I went to, was Varna in 1998. And I was just very lucky, and I worked very hard as well, obviously, but I won the bronze medal after 20 years after Mehmet Balkan, and he's one of the tremendous, amazing dancers that Turkey ever produced. So I won the bronze medal, and it was a big thing for the prime minister's wife there. The competition, Varna competition, is one of the oldest competitions in the world. It's like very prestigious competition. So they invited the prime minister of Turkey to watch the gala and award ceremony, and I get to meet with prime minister's wife. Back in the day, it was Berna Yilmaz, and she started sponsoring me, and I went to France to compete there in Paris, which I did finals and got a certificate. And then following that, I went to Japan, and that's where I got my contract for United States in the finals to start work. And I was 18 when I just decided I'll probably start working now, because it's a young profession, you know. I was anxious and want to be on stage and travel and learn.
So you've been like offered like contract during the competition, right?
During the competition, yes. Actually, I was rehearsing and with my teacher, Şavkat Tursun, from the school, and this guy was watching, and he was standing on stage, and he was a little bit irritating me. Actually, I'm like, why is he like just standing in front of me? I found out later, not only that he was a director of Ballet Internationale in Indianapolis, he was one of the star dancers of Kiro Ballet, Eldar Aliyev. And he talked to my teacher. They spoke Russian. I just watched them, like, what are they talking about? And yeah, he wanted to have me as a soloist dancer and wanted me to join their company in Indianapolis. And I was very excited. Just my teacher recommended me that I would go, and I would be in good hands, and that's what I did.
There was also Irina Kolpakova, right?
Yes, in the company, one of the ballet masters, or Irina Kalpakova, which we share with American Ballet Theater. Like she would go half season in ABT in New York, and she would be half season with us in Indianapolis. So that was really a huge thing. Obviously, she's like icon and a legend in ballet world. And just to work with her, until these days, I just can't forget it. That she really teaches the meaning of a classical ballet and how you approach to it, how you execute it. So I was very lucky, yes, to work with her, as well as I was lucky working with Eldar Aliyev and her husband, Vladimir Smenyo, Irina Kalpakova's husband, who was also working with ABT too, used to be a director of Kiro Ballet. So they helped me a lot to improve classically. And that company helped me a lot because it was a touring company that we got to see a lot of stages in Asia, Europe, in the States, almost like every country, and we would go to tours. So that's what was, making me better as a dancer. Definitely, I figured out early in my career that performing just often, like as much as I can, because as much as you rehearse, you learn and you improve a lot. But once you do a performance, that just stays with you. And especially when you travel, you experience different lights, different stage, different crew, different partners. That's definitely, you get into that zone, and it just really improves a lot in your that shows a lot of improvement in your artistry.
How challenging was it for you to adapt to the US, like thousands of miles away from home at a young age?
Well, it's still a challenge. I think that challenge doesn't go away. You know, deep down, I'm still Turkish. This is still my second language. It's never gonna go away. The challenge is every day. But to answer your question, I know what you mean. But when I came first, yes, it was very difficult. Although a lot of people were telling me that you adapted very fast, but I think I had a lot of difficult times. But also, I was very lucky that I was still young enough to learn, and it was different times. You know how the world changed a lot in 20 years. So I was just thrown into the world of working. So like, I opened my first bank account in America. I first start paying taxes was in America. So like a lot of things I learned and firsthand did it here. So it was difficult, but which made it faster and better for me to get adapted. So, and also I wasn't alone to be just foreigner. Like, I mean, we had like different nationalities. I think at one time we had like 14 different countries in the company. So it was a lot of people's the second language was English. So it wasn't super challenging, or I wasn't going through those challenges all by myself. I can't complain about that.
Were there like other Turkish dancers back in the day?
When I first came, as much as I know, there was another dancer dancing in Tulsa Ballet. His name was Serkan Usta. He's a dear friend of mine now, and he's a director of Ballet Des Moines. The one other person that I knew that was here was Cem Chatbash, and he's a director of Baltimore Ballet Theater. And if there's anybody else, I'm sorry, I just don't remember it, but I think I was probably the third one or so. Yeah.
Which roles did you dance at Indianapolis Ballet?
Indianapolis Ballet, which roles? Well, I mean, I've danced.
Who were the partners?
Oh, yes. I've danced with a lot of classicals. Like almost all the classicals that you can name, I've done it. And we have done some contemporary pieces, but definitely that company wasn't super contemporary. But some of my favorite roles was Alberto Alonso's Carmen, dancing Jose in that ballet. That's like, I just miss that ballet dearly, and it's not around a lot anymore. Or also I was like, yes, like I said, we did some contemporary ballets, but I just, I was very lucky to do ballets that it's not around anymore, like La Film Magardi of Kiro Ballet's version when Oleg Vinogradov choreographed it. Or we did Creation of the World, where Mikhail Baryshnikov and Kalpakova danced it together years ago. Very few people know about this ballet. It's about Adam and Eve and, the creation of the world, basically. So I was very lucky to touch those unique classical work with the people that it's actually from there, grew up with those. Some of them made those roles. Like we did Swan Lake, for instance, and my director was in the major production of Swan Lake in Kiro, and still it's shown everywhere in the world that you go. So I was very lucky to learn that hard classics from the first hand in Ballet Internationale Indianapolis.
Like in the meantime, like we see like some of your performances here.
Yeah, this is a gala. Actually, Igor Kolb, the principal dancer, still is with Kiro Ballet. He put it together. It's called Igor Kolb in France. We did this in Japan. I believe this was in Tokyo. This was choreographed by Sergei Sergeyev, very great friend of mine, and I mean he won like multi awards with the Youth America Grand Prix for choreographing. He was choreographing my pieces for competitions or the galas that I was invited to. Stuff like that.
Who were your partners in Indianapolis Ballet?
Indianapolis, but I had couple. I had one Ukrainian partner called Irina Komarenko. I believe she's still a principal dancer with the Ballet Donetsk in Ukraine. I had another one, Karen Scalziti Kennedy. She was a principal with Boston Ballet, and then she was principal with Ballet Internationale Indianapolis. Another one was Chieko Oyawa. She was Japanese Kobe Dance Theater, and now she's like the president of one of the major ballet competitions in the world. Yeah, I had few. I never always like. I'm not the guy that would be like, okay, I have this person. That's only in Ballet International. I had a couple of partners, and I always like dancing with different partners. It's always a different chemistry, and different ballets needs different couples.
Definitely. And my next question is like, while like we are seeing some of your performances, which genre is closer to your heart? Classical, contemporary, and your
Well,
favorite role?
yeah, I can definitely like I won't be able to give you just only one because I think that's very difficult. But I definitely was raised as a classical dancer, but I have improved myself a lot for contemporary. And for classicals, for instance, I love Don Q. I think it's a very nice, calm, and real story that doesn't have anything like flashy and unrealistic so much, except Don Quixote. But the whole ballet has a very nice story, and it's challenging to dancers that tell that story. So it's not only dancing but acting going on stage, and at the moment that you enter on stage, that audience have to feel good about you, so they can feel good about the whole production. So that's a really nice ballet, I think, classical wise. And also La Bayadere, like recently I did Stanton Welch Houston ballets, La Bayadere with Joffrey Ballet. The solo there is just like phenomenal. I think partnering is very difficult and challenging, and it's so much fun. And the story of itself, just La Bayadere, is like just a big classical ballet. But as you go contemporary, I would say probably Alexander Ekman's pieces that we've done, some in Joffrey that I love, like episode 31 or Tool. And Twyla Tarp, just anything she touches, I just love it. I love every choreography that she did. But I can think right now, for instance, Sinatra songs that we almost did like every year when I was dancing in Chicago. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, you won't get one thing from me. I really wanted to be. I was a dancer, and then I trained ballet very hard, and I danced as good as I can. But I really like all types of dances as long as it's been, it's done well. And when the music and the moment is right, it's very hard not to any of those.
Right. And can we talk about your next stop, Cincinnati Ballet? Like, how did it happen
Oh, Cincinnati, but you mean as a dancer? So,
as
yeah,
a dancer?
after Indianapolis, so it was kind of crazy. So, like our 31-year-old company, Ballet International in Indianapolis, one day it's just in the middle of the season, just shut down because of some, issues with the board and, high level on the directorship or something like that. I don't want to get into. So I just didn't know, like a lot of people didn't know what to do, like where are we gonna go from there. So I was lucky enough to find other things. I became a principal dancer with Tulsa Ballet, and for the following season, I signed a contract with Boston. To finish the season with Tulsa Ballet and then signed the contract with Boston. But I got injured there when I was dancing with Viviana Durante. She was a principal with Royal Ballet, and I was just, land really bad from the jump and blow my knee, and I had to go into surgery. So while I was recovering, this year and a half passed. It was really hard recovery. It was a really bad surgery, ACL and MCL torn ligament. I had operated twice. My ex-director's ballet was being staged in Cincinnati. So he asked me if I can help him to stage the ballet over there. So I went there being still, trying to come back to dancing, just thinking maybe I won't be able to. I was staging the ballet and someone got injured there, and they asked me if I can step in. And I said a couple of things, but I agreed to do it finally. So yeah, and that's how it started. And other choreographers came and they start casting me to ballets, even though I wasn't in the company. So I start Cincinnati Ballet in the middle of the season as a guest dancer. Following season, they hired me as a principal dancer, and I stayed there for three and a half seasons. Basically, I danced there. as a dancer. I mean, I had a long relationship with Cincinnati for years ago too. I guested with them in year 2000. So I knew the director there. So I had people, I knew dancers there. So it wasn't such a foreign place for me to be after Indianapolis. And it was great. Yeah, it was really wonderful. I got to work with a lot of world class choreographers, and our director Victoria Morgan is a phenomenal person. It was just a lot to learn, a lot to dance, challenging company definitely, and one of the well-known companies in the States actually. Yeah, for its size.
Later, like you went to Joffrey Ballet at Chicago, right? And
Yeah, I like I said, like I mean, I've been in Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Learned quickly that I want to do more performances, right? The quantity of performances and touring. So and changed like travel. So because that's how I grew up, that's how I knew what to do and how I got better. So yeah, I always wanted to go to Chicago. Chicago just was, first of all, the city was my favorite. Like it's one of my favorite city in America, all in the world. And I always
Windy
wanted,
City.
yes, Windy City. It's cold, but it's worth it. It's really beautiful city. So yeah, I just always want to go there, and I love the company and their repertoire. So I was actually pretty late in my career. I was 30 years old to join Joffrey Ballet, and I mean that's, if you ask dancers, that's pretty late to like switch the company. It's hard, it's hard to get started from the scratch when you're that old, and but I really wanted to do that. I'm thinking later for my career, I'm thinking I'm gonna be able to see, basically I'm gonna see more places. We were touring like crazy with Joffrey Ballet. Like, I mean, we had 13 weeks of touring, sometimes like back to back. We would get exhausted, but the amount of the experience and the exposure you get with that company was tremendous. I wouldn't be able to do that at a lot of different places. So yes, I decided to go and work with them, and I did 4 seasons over there. It was really great, like really wonderful. I did a lot of lead roles, a lot of contemporary ballets. I had to improve
Prodigal
myself.
Son here.
That's a Prodigal Son, Balanchine's Prodigal Son. I think that was.
I also wanted to like talk to you about Joffrey's like repertoire, right? I mean, they also recreate like Diaghilev's like Belarus productions, and I believe Prodigal Son was one example of that. So they are doing like this very interesting repertoire.
Yeah, definitely. Joffrey has a really interesting repertoire. So they do classical ballets here and there too, but they have a very unique contemporary repertoire as well. One of the best companies, in my opinion, in America, and like top 5. Yeah, this is a Prodigal Son, and for instance, they did Sakra of Nijinsky's. Like that was the 100-year celebration, which took us like so many different cities to tour with that ballet as well. But yeah, Joffrey, like I said, I really had to improve myself there, just getting in there, because it's a ensemble company. Not necessarily they have ratings like principal, soloist, this and that, but it's an ensemble company. They don't really put those titles unless it's on your contract. So you really have to. But wherever I was before, I was just prince or in the front. Like I didn't necessarily dance with a couple people next to me because of classical ballets didn't have that much stuff for me to be in. But when I got into Joffrey, I was like, okay, I'm lefty. I really need to improve my right side too, because I'm going to have to be dancing with a couple other people in a high caliber like that. So I really have to improve myself. So it was really, to adapt, it was, for a second, it was challenging, but then I really found myself, and I had really 4 wonderful years over there. Yeah. Under direction of Ashley Weeder, who was a ballet master in San Francisco Ballet prior to that, and he's from Royal Ballet. He danced there, so it was. I mean, it was just great to expose to all different faces, different artists, and yeah.
During your career, like you interacted with like pretty much like all the nationalities, right? Like starting from your teacher, like coming from Russian school, and then you had partners and teachers from Royal Opera House,
Oh
and then
yes,
Joffrey.
Yes, oh yeah, Russians, and then I went through a lot of. I had a lot of Asians that I danced with, even Japanese mostly. Um, yeah, I'm all over the world. Like I said, that was my thing. The first time I came to Ballet International in Indianapolis, like I was already surrounded with so many people from different nationalities. It was like that in Joffrey. It was like that in Cincinnati. It's just the different cultures and different groups. Um, so yeah, that's that's more. It makes you a little bit more knowledgeable, and you just it's just better to know other cultures. It's traveling and just something that you never forget. It's like you can watch things and learn things from the book, but when you travel, those are the experiences that usually I never forget. Just like if I go somewhere, I'm never gonna forget that place because it's a experience like fully like covered by it's just opens your mind up a little bit.
You have been invited to many galas and guest artists, etc. So can you tell us about your experience? What was your favorite venue and destination, touristic destination?
Oh yeah. Well, touristic destination. I mean, yes, I've been invited to galas and also the galas after competitions. Their galas, like I think my favorite gala was in Gala des Etoiles in Montreal. I don't think they held that anymore, but that used to be like one of the strongest galas in the world. A lot of beautiful galas in Japan. I mean, I can't hardly remember all the names, but the theaters there is just mind blowing. It's just
Where was this, by the way?
this
Is
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 La Corsair. This is in Indianapolis.
oh,
Elder
like I
Elias
thought that was
Corsair.
Grand Prix. Yeah.
This is La Corsair, and that's my Japanese partner, Chieka Iowa. I'm carrying. You don't see my face. I'm completely.
Sorry about that, but I like the picture
That's okay.
itself.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I know. It's all good. It's okay. Yeah, so the
Uh,
galas, I mean, I did New York Gala after the competition, Varna's Gala. Yeah, I've been in just Florida International Dance Galas. So the galas are definitely extras for us when we were working for the company. It was always fun to go with your partner or by yourself and, perform in a different venue. Yeah, there's a huge, huge thing for dancers to go and explore those opportunities. Yeah, I was very lucky to have many of those. Followed by all my obviously like I mean I did like seven I think international competitions. Not two of them I three two of them I didn't compete. I was just invited as a guest. But I've seen and I get connected with a lot of artists from all over the world. So and those keep me in communication. And if you look at it, it's not a big world. Everyone knows everyone. Especially these days, we get to know more of each other. So I've been very lucky with that. I can't complain.
let's talk about a transition from a dancer to a ballet master. Like, how did it happen?
Well, I think it starts when it started when you're getting older. As a dancer, when you get older, it's like always something in your head that what am I gonna do after this stops? And it's dancing asks you so much commitment. So you really have very limited time to put your head towards what you're gonna do after. But it was coming. So I had a lot of experience already towards the end of my career. Like I had 4 seasons with Joffrey and I had one more season to go. I got my contract and everything, but I was thinking, I'm hurting here and there. I had some really major injuries. Although I can still do it, but then as you get older, you're in the studio, you're thinking like, okay, this was done like this. Maybe it could have been done another way. I wouldn't do that like that. Whoever is showing me this, I would show it like this. And I found myself, wait, I'm thinking more from the other side, and I'm still here. Uh, maybe it's like a shift needs to come. And I had a couple plans to move on, but I was lucky to see my ex-Ballet Master in Jackson, Mississippi, when I was partnering one of the competitors there. And she told me a couple of things, made me think of they might be interested. I knew that they were searching for a ballet master for maybe over a year or so. So I was like, maybe I am interested. And I made a couple calls when I come back, and they asked me to come and teach class for the company and run a couple of rehearsals. And I came, and this is the director that I've danced with before. Some of the dancers were the dancers that I've danced with. So it wasn't very foreign place for me. I adapted very well, and I felt like I fit in really good. And I jumped into it because, frankly, for dancers, this kind of opportunities doesn't come very often. And when the time is right, you probably want to take action. So that was my timing. I mean, you can consider that I retired a little bit early, but I also started early. Like, I was a full company member when I was 18 and doing lead roles, and I mean, a lot of partnering, and your body gets speed up. Not everyone has the same, career. Some start very early age. So what I'm trying to say is that my body was beat a little bit. So it was okay time for me, and I was still young enough to show, to feel the dancers. That's what I was thinking. I'm still thinking that I want to be like, never want to forget that where I come from. I'm a dancer first. So I wanted to do things a little bit differently. I learned from a lot of great ballet masters and, directors and the choreographers, like the things that they do. But I also had my own ideas put into that, and I just started in Cincinnati Ballet. I was very lucky that Victoria Morgan hired me, and I'm with them since, and it's been just wonderful.
Here is like
Here's
some
this
members of the
photo
company.
after a show in Cincinnati. Yeah, you can see on your left that Victoria Morgan, and yeah, we have a couple choreographers and beautiful dancers after a show.
So, which ballets did you stage for the Cincinnati Ballet? And can you like tell us about the artistic process, your communication with the other administrative staff, artistic director,
Okay.
and the artist, of course?
Yeah. Well, what I do, my job here is to make the daily schedule for dancers. So I communicate with directors. Obviously, there's an artistic staff, and there's other ballet master here. Now we communicate, and we communicate with choreographers or stagers, and deciding, who is doing what part. I play a role in that, although I don't do all the decision making, obviously. And then when I have that, sometimes, like for instance, we have a couple choreographers working, and I just have to make the schedule for everyone to be in the studio, and who is where, who is rehearsing what. And it's kind of a little bit puzzle to put that together, especially when you have like, a certain amount of dancers and a lot of choreographers, and sometimes everyone wants one person, everyone doesn't want this person. So that's what I do. I teach classes, I do daily schedule, and we have constantly in communication with the production department, how the show is going and everything. Yeah, so things like that. It takes a lot of time, and obviously on top of that, every hour of the dancers hour that I'm in the studio with them, running the rehearsals. Yeah, it keeps you busy.
You know, how do you like decide, not just you, like in general, the artistic staff about the repertoire, like the mix of the classical and contemporary, and which like choreographers like do you choose? Like what is the criteria?
Well, there's a lot of criteria into it. Like, we bring a lot of departments into that decision. Obviously, not only artistic department making that decision. It has to be. You have to hear from the marketing point of view. You have to hear from the how the ticket sales are gonna go, how we can produce this production. Would we be able to sell, how well we're gonna sell not only ticket sales, but how we can sell this to our board as well, like how the people are interested. And then of course, that on top of that, the artistic view of our artistic director is bringing the really world-class choreographers. The choreographers that we're working with, they're working with everywhere, basically in Europe and America, top level choreographers that she's bringing, and she's also promoting the local choreographers as well. So it's a really mixed repertoire. You know, we have like, they also do family series where the show can be dedicated to families, and one show it has to be classics for the lovers of classical ballet. Couple programs has to be contemporary. So these are all put on the table and decided by many different factors.
Right. And do you have like your own choreography? Like, are you like working on something like that?
I do some choreographies, yes, and I mean, I'm like I said, when you do this job, like you're in the studio only 6 hours in the studio, and then before that I have to work a little bit on the computer. After that I have to work, so I'm very busy. But I have created some choreographies for the second company here. Also, I've been like a choreographer for Cincinnati Opera. So I hire dancers sometimes if it's needed for the opera and choreograph on them, or I have actually choreographed the opera singers, which was some of my best experience was with the singers dancing. It was really great. So yes, I do that, but my main thing, I assist the choreographers that come here, or if I need to stage something, I learn it. If it's something that we've done before, I watch and I learn and I try to put that on. If I watch another companies that done that production, and I sometimes just learn the steps, and I have all maybe sometimes sections that I have to teach to the company. So yeah, it's always different. Always different. Sometimes the stager comes and wants to help, a lot of help. Like he wants me to really stage the section of a thing. I'm stepping up to that. Sometimes they just want you to run the music and, you know, take notes here and there. So just you play different roles. Sometimes you get, you know, you show a little bit tea to the dancers. Sometimes you say, okay, it wasn't your fault. It was somebody else's fault. So it's just a lot of work and in and out with that.
You are like also teaching to university students, right?
Yes,
Is
this is from Indiana Ballet Conservatory, but I do also
conservatory?
teach in the University of Cincinnati. I was teaching master classes there. Yeah, so yeah, I do teach. I've done that in Indianapolis as well, Butler University and things like that. I enjoy teaching students. I really do. I I mostly like the older students to teach. For the reason for that is I feel like when I go to and work with these kids, I have limited time. You know, it's not like I'm teaching them every day, and I can accomplish with more with the older students. But I feel like when you go younger students, you have to be there with them every day in order for them to follow this certain routine, get them into their body. So it really takes a lot of dedication to teach younger students, and I feel like it's a lot of responsibility, and I not really had time to do that. I'm also very interested in dance. I mean, of course, working with the professionals as well. Yeah.
Right. And I think you gave online class to Istanbul Ballet a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I taught Istanbul Ballet a couple of weeks ago, and I'm gonna teach again this Friday with Istanbul and Izmir combined. I'm so happy just to see some, you know, familiar faces. I mean, I'm sad that we had to wait until this kind of pandemic to do some things like that. But there are good things about it. You know, we get to know each other. It's really great, like to be involved in your own country, even though it's from really far away at the moment. But I'm looking forward to more collaboration with them for sure.
And so, like, can you compare like different countries that you have danced and worked in terms of industry and the culture? I mean, for example, United States, like as far as I can see, sponsorship is like very important, right? I mean, sometimes even the artists like have to, do like some effort
Oh
in
yeah.
order to get some funding, etc. But in Turkey or like parts of the Europe, it is a government supported
Yes.
industry and like comparison of the like audience. Can you tell us about
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean, it's very different, of course, because like if you think about it, in Turkey there are certain companies in certain cities, and it was even less. Like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was less companies in certain cities. In the States, there are ballet companies like almost like every city, so everywhere, little towns and here and there, but there are levels to it. So a lot of them are non-profit organization, and yes, they do get some money from the state as well. It's not like they don't get anything, but it is very challenging for the companies here to raise money. But it has been this way, and it has been working. There are good things and bad things about it, but I do like things like here, like so like if I get into it, it's really different in Europe. Like you go into the theater, so you have your stage there, you have your orchestra, the opera is there, it's like everyone together in one place. Here is that they don't really have that. So you have ballet company, and then they use it in a symphony, and they rehearse in the studio somewhere located, and then they go to the theater, they transport themselves, and they do performance. So it's really different. But I think the way that has been here, that's been good in terms of dancers pushing themselves really hard, and the competition is got really high level, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, because so it's like when you get into government company, there are certain things you achieve, and maybe now it's a little bit different, but I always felt like a little bit after you achieve certain things, you're like, you can be stuck. I just felt like that. Like I said, again, maybe it's different now, but here you have to be on your toes. Otherwise, you really can find yourself outside the door and
Right.
not getting paid. Frankly, that's what it is, a bit. And that's what artist needs most, is a drive. And it's hard, but that's what artists need. And if you don't have a drive, you have to move other people as an artist. So I feel like this was a better setting for me to move on.
And now, like as a teacher, like online teacher to Istanbul, and next week, like Izmir Ballet, like can you also compare the current state of Turkish ballet with regards to rest of the world?
Yeah. Even though, like I said, I'm from Turkey, you heard me now for a little bit. I danced there, yes, in one couple times, but I wouldn't be the spokesperson for the Turkish ballet. It's because I don't really 100% know. But what I can tell you, what I see, especially recently, there are a tremendous amount of talented artists there. It's just amazing, and I'm really happy to see some of the not younger dancers, not super young, but not super old. It's young enough to have the experience and being able to function during these times. There are really good leaders coming in, as much as I see in the social media and things I follow. I think there are really good, nice generation coming, leading the way for Istanbul, for Izmir, for Ankara. We just need more of that, and everyone needs to just like support each other a little bit more of it. And I feel like obviously there's a lot of artists all over the world, they feel underappreciated, but I think Turkish people loves the arts. I think, like, I mean, every time that I went to opera or ballet in Turkey, it was kind of full. Maybe like again, maybe it's kind of changing, you tell me, but
It's still full. I mean,
yeah,
like the tickets are like sold out
yeah.
in a couple of hours.
So
But I think
they deserve the best of the best. So and I think they doing really good stuff, as much as I can see in Turkey. Of course, there's a lot of room for improvement. Yeah.
going back to like Cincinnati Ballet, I mean, like I have a question about repertoire. Like when you stage like classical ballet, say like Swan Lake, which has usually like a large cast, right? Like when I check the website of like Cincinnati Ballet, the company is not like as big relative to other like bigger companies? Like,
Yeah.
how do you stage like ballets like that?
Well, there's a lot of companies like this actually in our size. Actually, some of them are smaller. What they do is, so we have second company, right? So we have
Right.
this year, well, how many we had? Maybe 14, 15 dancers there. And then you have high levels of academy. So there goes your corps de ballet, Swan Lake. They mix those in. They don't only use the company dancers for the production, but they use the second company dancers plus high levels of academy. So that's where they put those in. That's how the companies do these days.
Conservatory as well? Like, do you get students also from the...
Oh yeah. We have our own academy here. Like a lot of ballet companies right now, they have their academy. It's a huge thing. I mean, it's a major part of ballet company is academy in the States. And yes, when they produce high level of students, they like to hire to their company so they can promote to academy as well. And yes, they are always being used in the company productions, actually. And it's a great, it's a great experience for them as well. So this is like maybe 20 years ago, it wasn't around a lot. That was just a company, second company. When I started hearing, I was, what is that? But it is now, this is what it is. A lot of dancers going to academy, they go to second company, and then from there to a company, joining the company. It takes a while, unfortunately. It doesn't make me happy necessarily, because I feel like this is young professional career, and they need to start as soon as possible in a high level. So, but of course, like, money involved. So
My next question is a little bit technical. Like, you dance pretty much all the major classical roles and many contemporary roles. If you are like staging a ballet where you have not danced before, how difficult is it to teach that to the artist?
well, it's actually not so different than the people that you don't know, because I mean, we all, if I'm going to a major company, that they know the terms, they know this, like, when I say a step, they know how it needs to be executed. So, but yes, of course, like any job that you do, anywhere you go, you have to feel the atmosphere, you have to feel the room, and get the attention in a way that it's going to be very positive and continue that way. So, I mean, no, I learned things, but I did, like, for instance, a couple of the stagings that I did for National Ballet of Finland, I did Lady of the Camillas, and for Atlanta Ballet, I did Don Q, Yuri Posokov's Don Q. So I learned the steps. I wrote things down if I needed to look at them. I learned the music. Some of the things that I was done, some things came very fast. Some things where I had to watch it a couple times, but I knew it when I go into the studio, and if I had to go back to my notes, and I had those there. So it's depending how the dancers receiving to information. But so far I have only had a positive experience. I like to make workplaces a positive place. I did tell myself a lot, like when I saw these people there, not these people, but they're, some of the artists, they would come in the studio and treat other dancers like they're students, and they forget sometimes, even though, like I said, they're young professionals, they're not students, they're grown-ups. They're over 18, they're working, they're getting money for this. So I always try to have that mutual respect, and I don't forget that we're colleagues. So I try to create a positive atmosphere there, and try to not to frame everybody as well. So like when you teach something, sometimes people like to really under control everything. So if there's a room for them to improve and explore, you have to see that. If it's going the right direction, you let them be. So the question you're asking is like, I can't talk about this like 20 hours. So there's a lot of little things into that. There's not one recipe for success. You should be able to make a couple of dishes.
I see. And you are also like a lifelong learner, like I suppose, because when I check your biography, you also studied in the university, and you like received a certificate for leadership and management.
Yeah,
And I
that
suppose it helps you in your profession as well. Can you like
yes.
tell us about that experience?
Well, that experience came when I was injured, and 8 months later, they were told me to have one more surgery and prepare. You won't be able to dance again. I thought that, okay, I need to go do something. So I start taking online classes like everybody else doing these days, like Zoom, something like that we used. And I had a teacher there from Notre Dame. And so it was like 6 months or so. So yeah, I just kept myself busy basically. And I learned a lot of things like, leadership and management was always interesting to me. Like little things like, you want to do something and you want your idea to go to these people in front of you, but how can you make them feel like that was idea that was contributed by all of us, so I'm trying to, like, those are little things that I learned, and I love it, and it's just like gives you better communication skills, and you get things done a little bit faster. Yeah, just planning ahead. So it definitely helped me for my career.
And coming back to now, like when we have this corona pandemics, how do you like what do you do now? Like what is your daily routine, and how do you like motivate yourself and your artist nowadays?
It's hard. It's really hard. I'm not gonna, like, chocolate, I mean, sugarcoat to it, but it start. We were all just throwing. This thing came by, so like it surprised everyone. It's really unprecedented times for the world. So yeah, to push myself, I actually, yes, I got depressed a couple times, maybe like everybody else, like, because we're home, we're in quarantine, but then I have a baby. It's almost gonna be 2 years old next month. So looking at that and just spending a lot of time with her, just it's the greatest thing. So I did more push-ups than I probably would have. uh, I probably watch more TV than I probably would have. But I'm trying to stay positive. I have things that to look forward to it. Um, it's definitely harder on a lot of dancers, because a lot of dancers were just, their season ended. There's just like one day, okay, go home. And I know a lot of dancers in the world now not getting paid. So there are very tough times, and so we try variety of things to stay connected, be positive, but like as the days go by, we learn as well. So it is very hard. Like, your question is like how to motivate. I just keep it busy. I try to, I have a routine that I try to work out as much as I can. Try to learn new things. And the times that when I don't lock myself in the bathroom because my baby doesn't leave me alone. But yeah, things like that, like everybody else, like everybody in the world, that we're going through pretty much the same thing, which it really taught us very valuable things, that we are might be far away from each other, but we're not different. We are very, very much connected, a lot more than we could imagine, obviously.
Right, and I think like we are like all in this together. We
Oh
get
yeah.
healthy together, and unfortunately get ill together.
Yes,
Like
yes,
we are
unfortunately.
connected.
Yeah, that is, of course, I mean, there are things going on in the world. uh, it's it's very hard to point your finger at one thing. It's really, there are many factors of what's going on today. Some of them can be very depressing. I don't really want to get into it, but I feel like once we pass this, everybody else, like all over the world, I think we're gonna have better days. I think it's everyone learned from this, and the world is not gonna be the same, obviously, as before Corona and after Corona. But I hope that we don't call that as like new normal, because it's not normal. Or the things like I don't like these days that they say, like social distancing. I get this social distancing, but like it's really physical distancing. Like this is like we are socializing right now, right? It's like I haven't been
Right.
more social than in social media. Like I get it, like physically we don't see, we don't shake hands, this and that, but like it's really physical. We cannot get close to each other. So people miss that. I see people like walking out there, like here and there. They see from far away. They want to say hi, how are you to people that you don't know. That's just it. There are good things about it that it's gonna come. Like I said before we start the podcast, I said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So
Exactly.
I think everyone's gonna be coming out stronger than before.
I don't want to say it's a like good thing after Corona because like many people are like suffering, but if we had not been into like this like situation, I would not have started this like Wednesday talk, and I
Right.
wouldn't have met you. So
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Like these things. I wouldn't be probably teach to Istanbul, and there will be other things definitely, but there are good things. This is gonna be fine. Like I said, it's already going down. We're gonna take care of this. It's just everyone needs to stay healthy and follow their leaders in the community to be careful and not, get affect anybody or get infected. So like yeah, everyone has responsibilities, and I think matured the whole world. Yeah.
any news about Cincinnati? Like, are you gonna go back to classes and rehearsals sometime soon?
Not sometime soon. No. I think we're looking at different dates, different scenarios, obviously. But as of now, I believe the season is over. The season is over. We're gonna look forward to following season here. They will look follow. They will look because I won't be here next season. But yeah, we just have to listen our governors every day, the leaders of our community and the doctors, and see what are the steps that we can take. So they just start opening here restaurants here and there a little bit. You can see it outside. But right now, for performance, for hundreds and thousands of people to get together in the audience and watch a performance that doesn't sound realistic at the moment. But this will pass. It will be fine. This will be passed. Yeah, one way or another. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to deal with it.
And you said that like during these days, like there's some time for like other things, like other than ballet. Can you tell us like what was the last book that you read, and any Netflix movies or TV series that you can
I
recommend us?
I think I finished Netflix. Just kidding. No, last thing I watched on Netflix was Ozark. It was a great show. It's a bit dark, and I one of the last books I read was a while ago. It was about water. Some Japanese writer. I can't remember the writer, but it was crazy. Like he was taking photos of the water that it was frozen, and he was developing those waters and crystallized. And he started doing experiment how they were talking great things, telling good things to the water, and another water like hate speech. So and he started taking these like microscopic photos and how deformed was the water that they spoke hate speech or terrible music and stuff like that, or how well the crystal was formed in the water that it was told good things from. So it's just with the nice music. They did this experiment at different places, so it just was kind of interesting to me, because we are mostly water as well as the world, so we must get affected by energy, obviously. The other book I ordered is Turkish one. It's called Başlangıç 2020. It's the beginning 2020. This is just a TV show that I watch in Turkey. They host a lot of professors and the doctors about, talking about the future, what lies ahead of us. And this book was like coming already like months ago in last October. So I'm interested in that. And I watch a lot of podcasts like Joe Rogan, and he has a lot of doctors coming in there, sometimes fighters, but so I watch podcasts and stuff like that to keep myself entertained.
Joe Rogan has a like special talent to make his guests to talk. I think so. Like
Say
he's
that again. Joe
also
Rogan, yes, he does. He's very knowledgeable. I mean, yeah, he has amazing guests there. amazing, and he really touches a lot of subjects. Yeah, there are really nice. I really recommend everyone. I'm sure anybody can find something that they're interested in, and they can learn things from that kind of shows.
And like anything that like you are missing the most, like after the pandemic, like what do you want to do? Any specific thing
I
on your
just want
mind?
to be able to like go out with friends, not be scared, and be able to like, hug people that you love again, um, and going back to things that we love to do. And I think like again, going back to that, like it just makes me appreciate what we have, and I'm sure a lot of people feels the same way. Like everyone is in such a rush. Everyday work is such a thing. Let's just wake up. You hardly drink your coffee, maybe a breakfast, go work hours and hours. A lot of people work in the desk, and you're just in this rhythm, and it just goes on and on and on, and you don't have a second to look at yourself or look around you. I feel like this is like we all hit the car and looking at the mirror, what's behind us for a second, like because we've been so focused on going forward.
Right.
And I think these are the things that hopefully overall gonna bring really positive uh, things for the whole world. Hopefully.
I hope so. And my next question is about the industry because you were like a ballet artist, dancer, and now you are a teacher, a ballet master. So when I talk to the artists, like usually, like I realize that they have extremely busy schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think that like ballet world is demanding too much in terms of like classes, rehearsals, and performances?
Um,
Like
yes,
how?
yes, but it's like a lot of job, and especially if you're doing it in the high level, it's demanding, and it comes with like a lot of personal responsibilities. So a lot of dancers say that, I'm sure, and some dancers don't. And you have to look at the things like maybe individual cases. Like it's hard to maybe put everything in one perspective, like saying that's not a true statement or that's a true statement. But yes, it can be hard, and especially dancers. Sometimes we are so concerned about our art form, what we do, and with ourselves. Like they don't communicate well enough, and so when or they don't have a person to communicate in the company that is willing to understand what it is, or have the total control of the studio, what's going on. But if you're asking me, my experience is like if the dancer is tired and I know what he can do or she can do, and if we are scheduled to work, I do let dancers, they are artists, give them option now and then, like, what do you think we should do? Even though I know what I think I should do, I give them that option. So sometimes I work with the dancers like that. That's great. But some dancers, they can close a wall, and they're so focused and the things, and maybe sometimes too focused. And it might be a little bit late to talk, because then injury occurs, or there's a bad rehearsal happens, and sometimes the dancers together they fight. So I love working. When you ask me that, are we being pushed hard? The dancers are demanded. Yes, they should be yeah. But if you look at every athlete, and then we go around and we do say like, dancers are like football players. So yes, it is demanding. It is difficult. But like I learned from the people that I work with, or that's how I approached it. Like, I mean, once you start saying that this is hard, you don't give up. Like I always have a different mindset. I'm like, no, it's fine. Just take it like a little bit simpler. When you get tired, for instance, on the stage, a lot of people start panicking, and eyes are closing and head is going back. It's just a control sometimes. It's just being calm. So, a lot of experience sometimes. Yes, it's experience. Generally, dancers are working very, very hard everywhere. But it is changes. This statement changes case by case. Yeah.
Right. And my next question is like, do you watch performances from the audience's side? And like as a master, I mean, like I'm sure like you do, both audience and the wings, I suppose.
Ah, you mean like in the auditorium? Yes, I do. I do see. Oh, of course, yeah. A lot of the shows I watch it. A lot of the shows, the first time I see it, that is finally when it's on stage and we're rehearsing. But we do take rehearsals. We do dress rehearsals. So all of them that I'm there watching, and I do like to watch from the wings too. I see different things. I like to see that interaction in the backstage. What is the people are doing? Are they doing the same things, different things? It's kind of interesting that as well. Yeah, I do. I just walk all over the theater. When I go to the theater, I go up, down, side, left. Like, so I just like make sure I have the whole thing.
So if you ever happen to go to Cincinnati, which performance like do you recommend us to watch?
Well, they do like just like they do shows. Cincinnati does performances like I said. They bring the best choreographers in the world and a variety of repertoire. So, but if you ask me, like for instance, the signature ballets of Cincinnati, I would say King Arthur's Camelot is like I really would like to see that ballet. Other companies doing it, or I would like to see more often. I've only worked with it once since I'm back here as a ballet master. It's Victoria Morgan's choreography. It's just like it's a neoclassic. It's like really nice choreography, nice story. And the other one is Adam Hoglan's, who was a resident choreographer here before. He's from England, and his ballet was Mozart's Requiem. So those are, I can say that they are the signature pieces for Cincinnati Ballet. If anybody come across if they have a chance to watch those, they're my favorite. But we do like all kinds of beautiful productions. Yeah.
Now, like you are going to move to Finland, like by the fall, I suppose. Hopefully, if the travel restrictions end. Like, can you tell about that new job?
Yeah, that's well. This is a company that I've been already twice to stage work over there. Yeah, hopefully I can travel in June. The government is supposed to make some announcements for the traveling to Finland. So hopefully I will be able to start there in August. This is what we're planning so far. But this is a company and a country that I always showed interest, especially now having a young baby. Starting for her to start a school there, I really thought that would be an amazing opportunity for her there. Second, but before she was born, I was there first thinking that this is a wonderful company. I mean, this is just a lot of dancers. It's a theater with their opera, their symphony, and year-long contract with the dancers, and it's the choreographers that they bring. How the location, by the way, how it's in Europe. I've been in the United States for 20 years, and I do have a lot of friends in Europe and a lot of different talented artists that I would love to work and see their work too. So Finland, I always showed an interest, and I just was lucky enough that they asked me to join, and just couldn't be happier. And I'm looking really forward to it. I'm very excited to work with this world-class company and their world-class dancers. Yeah.
Like any like projects that you have like on your mind when you will join the company?
Well, when I joined the company, yeah, we do have our productions coming up, but my personal project first is that to get there safe and sound with the family. Uh, but then I'm very excited that Val Caniparol is a well-known choreographer that I have worked with him for years and years, and he has so many different ballets that he produced for Cincinnati Ballet. He's doing a new ballet, Jacqueline and Hyde, for Finnish National Ballet. So I'm really looking forward to that, be a part of that, creation, be a part of that production coming alive. And any other for instance, they bring in Alexander Ekman, another amazing choreographer, to Finland as well. They're doing his cow, and Yeah, stuff like that. I'm just excited to be a part of it. I really want to get a hang of it, and it's a different atmosphere, different country, different dancers for me. So I'm sure it's gonna bring a lot of opportunities. And just looking forward to being there. And I'm definitely gonna miss the Cincinnati Ballet here so much. But definitely want to keep in touch with them and Cincinnati Opera as well.
You are getting closer to your home country, Turkey. Do you
Right.
have like any plans to return like after some point
I would
in your
love
career?
I would love to either return or travel, go in and out, anything. I would love to be part of anything that, you know, my country's companies are producing. I would be happy to be a part of it now that I'm closer. It was a couple times they were. It's not like they have never asked. There, it's been asked before that I wasn't able to do. I'm just far away, and times are different now. They're producing new great leaders over there, and I would love to, of course, just show my knowledge and my experience and share it with the people that I love.
So like before like concluding this interview, like do you have some maybe advice like to young dancers, both in
Advice
Turkey and rest of the world?
advice for the young dancers, I think I would say just really work hard. I know it comes very simple, but be true to themselves. Don't lie to yourself. You're good in one thing, couple things, you're definitely going to be bad at something, and face that, and really work on that. Be your own judge. Don't be scared of anything. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not capable of doing anything, but have a really understanding and awareness of what you're capable of, what you can accomplish, and how you can go further from there. Just a little bit more open eyes, I guess. Look around.
Thank you so much for the like great insight that you like shared with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having
A
me.
great like pleasure like having you today.
Thank you
And
so much.
uh,
Hopefully, this will go on for you for a while. And maybe it'll bring me back after like
definitely.
100 episodes, maybe.
So like we would like to have this like weekly,
Okay.
and like I suppose in a year, like I'm gonna kind of get a significant
Okay.
part of the like ballet world. So maybe if I finish everyone,
Good.
I might have like another episode.
Good.
Right.
Good. Sounds great. Thank you so much. It
And
was
every time, like I am learning a lot, and like I am like enjoying the process. I thank you so much for being with us today.
appreciate it. Thank you. It's my
A
pleasure.
good day.
You too.
Goodbye.
Have a good one.